What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I got another really fun video for you guys. As you can see right now, I'm out here in the Oakland/Berkeley Hills, and I thought that this would be a really great place to do some more testing with my new 2.5-inch cinewhoop build. Although this drone is made to carry a naked GoPro, I haven't quite had a chance to decase my GoPro Hero 11. However, this drone can still lift a full-size GoPro. It's a little bit louder, a little bit harder to control, but it's definitely possible. So today, I want to get some really cool test shots with my GoPro Hero 11 and my new drone here and see what kind of shots we can get. I think it's gonna be really fun here. There's a ton of gaps here and there's a lot of cool stuff to see. So I'm gonna dial in my GoPro settings. I'm gonna be shooting at 5.3K, 24 frames, 1/48 shutter. And since it's kind of dark in here, I'm actually gonna bump up my ISO all the way up to 800. So hopefully that's gonna look pretty good. Also, I might do some shots with 400 ISO just in case, but overall, let's just have some fun and see what kind of shots we can get. All right guys, so when you're flying in an environment like this, where there's a ton of branches, a ton of stuff honestly, I think having the new O3 Air in it is really beneficial. When I was flying on the older system, the Cadex Vista or the regular OG Air unit, you can't really see like small branches, you can't really see like thin leaves that well. So when you're flying in an environment like this, it's really important to have the best video quality you can, because the last thing you want here is to crash into a tree, crash into a branch, because it's gonna be really annoying to have to jump over into the creek and try to get the drone back. So that's why I love the O3 Air unit so much. All right guys, so we're almost ready to go here. Got my GoPro rolling, got a full battery here. Let's do it. Okay, you might have to watch out, Yusuke. I'm gonna take off towards you. 3, 2, 1, launching. All right guys, so even though this drone is not really technically made for a full-size GoPro, I do really like how much more quiet it is compared to my Cinelog 35. It has a way lower sound, a way lower frequency that makes it a lot less annoying and a lot less noticeable when flying in public. So that's really important for me, honestly. So as I mentioned earlier, I haven't had too much practice flying this drone in general, honestly, but it definitely does feel different with the full-size GoPro. It feels a lot more bulky, a little bit more harder to maneuver, requires a lot more thrust to keep it in the air, but this thing does fly really well, honestly. Later this week, I do plan on decasing my naked GoPro Hero 11. However, I think this is a pretty good setup for doing outdoor stuff. I think having the naked GoPro is going to be really helpful when I do extremely close proximity stuff, doing like indoor real estate stuff. But honestly, I'm starting to get pretty used to having the full-size GoPro on this thing, and I think it handles it pretty well, honestly. It's not loud. It's easy to control. I just wish I had a little bit more thrust power, because I am kind of bobbing up and down a little bit. All right, landing. Whew. So honestly, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it's technically supposed to have a naked GoPro, but honestly, I'm starting to get kind of used to having the full-size GoPro because it's a lot easier. You don't have to deal with any extra power cables powering the GoPro. You can use your ND filters, everything's all plug and play. So I think that is one really good benefit to having the full-size GoPro. You don't need that much stuff to get it started. So I would say that's a pretty successful flight.
Telemetry lost.
I think it's a really good idea to always review your footage as you're shooting FPV, just to kind of constantly check your exposure and make sure that when you go home later, all your shots aren't going to be kind of messed up. Not bad, everything looks pretty good. I think I'm going to do a few more flights. I only have 12% on the GoPro, but I think that's enough to get probably like 2 more flights out of this thing. So let's do it. With the full-size GoPro, I get about like 2 or 3 minutes, honestly. With a naked GoPro, I might get around like hopefully 5 minutes, but for an environment like this, having 2 to 3 minutes is actually not bad. I mean, that was a good amount of time to get a few good runs, hit a few good gaps, honestly. So let's try to do it more smooth this time. I really want to focus on keeping my throttle more constant, because since I'm not used to having so much weight on the GoPro, my throttle is kind of bobbing up and down. So that's why I really want to kind of control my throttle more, get some more practice in on this new rig here.
Telemetry recovered.
All right, pack number 2. And one tip I have for you guys is when you're flying in an environment like this, it might be helpful to actually dial in your exposure yourself, because I don't want it to be so grainy. So probably gonna do 1/60 shutter, ISO 1600, and launching. Yeah, man, battery. Thanks. Whew. Whew. All right, guys, so that's pretty fun, honestly. It is a little bit dark in here, so it is kind of hard to see those really kind of small branches, but overall, I'm having a lot of fun here, and I really hope that the shots turn out good. Sometimes I'm a little bit worried about the low light of the GoPro Hero 11, but I am gonna have faith in this, and I think it's gonna hold up pretty well in post, so yeah. All right, guys, so overall, I thought that was a pretty successful 2 flights I had. One thing to keep in mind is it does feel kind of heavy, and I think that's why having a naked GoPro is so beneficial, because with all this weight here, you could really feel it in the throttle. Like, I do tend to do like a lot of bobbing up and down because I'm not quite used to flying such a heavy drone with small motors. Even though it's so small, the ratio of the GoPro weight is a little bit kind of too much for this drone, and that's why I'm so excited to decase this GoPro, because once I decase this GoPro, I'm gonna have all the same features, all the good image quality. However, it's gonna feel like basically flying it without the GoPro, because that's huge. When I was flying around here trying to hit the gaps, it kind of makes it a little bit unpredictable by having so much weight. You really have to practice a lot with your throttle. So I'm trying to get a ton more practice flying with the GoPro, but I definitely think it's much, much more ideal to have this thing be decased, be naked, because I'm carrying so much more extra weight than I really need. So although I do think the shots are gonna come out well, while I'm flying it, it just doesn't really feel quite right. Overall, pretty successful flight. I mean, I'm really impressed with this rig. It does really well. I had really good connection around all these trees, even though there's so much stuff going on, but yeah, it's really good. Another complaint is kind of the battery life. I only get legit like probably 2 to 3 minutes with the full-size GoPro. However, when I decase it, I'm probably gonna go up to around like 4 to 5 minutes, which is pretty good, but overall, pretty successful. I'm pretty impressed. I mean, look how small these motors are. These are the 2690 kV 1407 T motor by Stan FPV, and I got these little 8 blade propellers here. But yeah, it's a pretty small drone, but I'm starting to like this thing a lot, because I mean, if I want to throw on a full-size GoPro, I can. If I want to throw on a naked GoPro, I can. And I just love how quiet it is. Right now I'm flying in a hiking area, and honestly, if I was flying my Cinewhoop 35, I think people might kind of complain, because that thing is just so high-pitched, it's so obnoxious, and there's a lot of hikers here that want to just kind of enjoy the nature. But since this thing is just so quiet and the frequency of the sound is so much lower, no one really bothered me. I mean, you guys might have saw this, like probably like 6, 7, 8 people walked by. No one really cared, because this thing is just so quiet, so harmless. So that's why I love flying smaller drones so much. But yeah, overall super successful flight out here in the forest.